Despite the loss to the Atlanta Hawks, this was definitely a much more fun and competitive game that the Detroit Pistons put on the floor today. Bojan Bogdanovic is absolutely crazy, but I want to talk about a few decisions and questionable decisions, I should say, at the end of this game that I think lost the Pistons this game. We'll talk about all of that in today's episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast.
You are Locked On Pistons, your daily Detroit Pistons podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's the deal? Welcome back to another episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast. Per usual, I'm your host, Coop Cahill. You can find me over on Twitter at Coop Cahill. I want to thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons, hit that subscribe button, or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you are listening to this on. So, guys, tonight was definitely a much more fun game against the Atlanta Hawks. We can be happy after this loss. Compared to how we were and how I was in the last podcast and what we've seen over the last few games, this was a big step in the right direction. I had fun watching this game. I thought it was a lot of fun. The Pistons were extremely competitive, and Cade had a really nice bounce back game. So I thought this game, or at least I hope that a lot of you guys enjoyed this game compared to what we had witnessed over the last few games. We really needed this. It was early in the season, but the last few games were just such torture that we needed a good game, and we got a good game here despite having a loss here. A little bit later, I want to talk about Cade Cunningham's extremely just out of this world first half that he had. I want to talk about that a little bit later and some of the other performances that we saw from individual players a little bit later. But I want to first focus on some of the decisions and some of the things that happened down the stretch of this game that I think lost the Pistons. I think lost the Pistons the game. And the reason why this frustrates me so much is because the Pistons' first 20, 25 games is such a living hell that when you get in positions like this against teams that maybe you shouldn't win against, like the Hawks are a really good team. They should be in the playoffs. They should be who knows? They might be a second round team. Who knows? But they're a much better team than the Pistons. So when you're in a position like this against one of those teams, you need to get one of those wins because you're probably not going to get many of those down the stretch. And there's a very good chance the Pistons could be 20 games in looking at a 3-17 record. So when you get chances like this, that's how you avoid having that bad of a record 20 games in. So this is why it's frustrating me so much what I saw at the end of the game. And the first thing that really frustrated me, so Bojan Bogdanovic was lights out in this game, okay? Lights out. He was carrying the Detroit Pistons in this fourth quarter. Cade did a great job through 3 quarters. But at the end of the third quarter, he had already played 30 minutes. He was playing a ton of minutes, and the Hawks put DeJounte Murray on him, and then for the entire fourth quarter, it was just him against DeJounte Murray. In the first half, I thought Stu did a better job of getting his body on some screens and really freed up Cade some. Not just Stu, but I saw Duren get some hard body screens. Heck, I even saw Bojan make some contact on some screens, and it was really freeing Cade up. He was not having to go ISO against the best perimeter defender on the Atlanta Hawks. He was getting freed up a lot, and I think that led to a lot of his first half success, along with the fact he was really just punishing the Hawks at the rim. But anyways, I got a little sidetracked there. Cade did his thing for 3 quarters, but in the fourth quarter, Bojan came and helped him try close the deal for the Pistons. So I'm going to go through this. I want you guys to look at this play-by-play. 3 minutes and 40 seconds, Bojan Bogdanovic made 3-pointer. The score is 103-109. Bojan Bogdanovic, 216, made 3-pointer. Bojan Bogdanovic, 123, made 3-pointer and 1. So he hit from 100 to 109. Bojan Bogdanovic has hit 3, 3, and 3 plus 1. So he scored 10 straight points for the Detroit Pistons in a 2-minute span. In a 2-minute span, Bojan scored 10 points for the Detroit Pistons, and they were down at 1.8 points. And then at the end of his hot streak, they were down 1 point. You think that with a guy burning hot like that and carrying you to the finish line, they clearly can't handle him coming off these screens. His pump fakes, he's using them to absolute perfection and freeing himself up. Bojan was absolutely excellent tonight. Excellent. You think at that point, that would be what you do. You go to Bojan and you let him close this game, or you at least try to get the attention that's focused on him since he just scored 10 straight against them. I'm sure their eyes are on him. You at least use him If you're not going to go to him to score, you at least use him to create something else because the defense is going to have their eyes on him. Instead, we got none of that. The next possession. The immediate next possession, after Bojan Bogdanovic hits an and 1-3, is a Saddiq Bey isolation. So, Bojan Bogdanovic scored 10 straight points with under 3 minutes left in this game to cut the lead to 1. And the very next possession after he hits an and 1-3, you isolate Saddiq Bey. Isolate Saddiq Bey. Not, you don't isolate. Heck, even isolating Cade would be dumb against DeJounte, but not Cade. It's not like you isolate Jaden Ivey or Cade. Heck, even Bojan. No, you went down after Bojan scored 10 straight. You isoed Saddiq Bey in the corner. It was like he was at the top of the key. He'd go left or right. He isoed in the corner. And that wasn't, I don't think it wasn't a design play. Cade kicked out to Saddiq. And then Saddiq just said, screw it, this is my time to shine. And isoed from the corner. He got fouled and went on to miss both free throws. That's karma. They deserve to get 2 missed free throws for that. You can't play that kind of way. There is a dude who scored 10 straight points. You see the kind of burner he's on. There is no way on living hell on any basketball court on earth, any pickup game, college basketball game, high school game, NBA game, European game, there's no way in hell that dude doesn't touch the ball. Or at least you're creating something using his hot streak to create something for you. There's no way. There's zero way you do that. So that's what happens the immediate next possession. Then the next possession after that is a Cade Cunningham drive. He gets blocked by Clint Capella. Now the Pistons are down by 5 points. Then they foul DeJounte Murray. They're down by 6 points. And guess what happens? Bojan. Oh, hey, Bojan. I forgot you were on the team. Can you come shoot a 3 for us real quick? 5 seconds after that, guess who hits a 3? Oh, Bojan. We forgot he was on the team. He just scored 10 points in a matter of 2 minutes. That's a few minutes ago. Here you go. Can you hit this 3 real quick? Oh, we make it a 3-point game. I can't believe that this dude was not given the ball. I can't believe they didn't go out of their way to draw up something to continue to go to Bojan after the hot streak that he was on. That right there is critical mistake number one. And that right there falls on coaching and the players on the court. Saddiq taking that ISO from the corner it's just some of the it lacks such IQ to do something like that. Like in that moment, it lacks such IQ for you to know that there's a guy that has scored 10 straight for you, and you decide that off a kick out you should isolate from the corner where you only have one direction to go. It's so frustrating to see that in a game that you could have won. It was a 1-point game in a game that you could have won. And then missed both free throws. That can't win with that. Can't win with that right there. The second major mistake that was made, and this one was by Dwayne Casey himself. And I think Dwayne Casey has to wear a good share of the blame for this loss here. He closed this game with Corey Joseph. He closed this game with Corey Joseph versus DeJounte Murray and Trae Young in the backcourt. So he is guarding an all-star guard. When your best perimeter defender in Killian Hayes, who had his best game of the season and was playing his best basketball in that fourth quarter, in the end of the third quarter, you don't reward him with extra minutes. You go back to Kojo, which I don't get how that makes sense. You don't reward him. You take away minutes when he plays like trash, sure, that makes sense. But then when he plays well, you don't reward him with minutes. Nonetheless, you close with Kojo against 2 all-star guards. And then on the final possession of the game, guess what they did? Oh, Trae Young, you have Corey Joseph on you? Go attack Corey Joseph. Immediate 2 free throws. And maybe not even Killian. Why about Isaiah Livers? Oh, actually, you know what? With a minute left, probably about 4.5 minutes too damn late, Isaiah Livers gets subbed in for Corey Joseph. Well, the damage has already been done now. Trae Young just hit 2 free throws. Now they're up by 3. So it's... That kind of stuff just frustrates me so much. You put the players put themselves in a position to win a game. You've put yourself in a position to win the game. And it's not missed shots that lose you the game. It's not the other team just simply outplaying you, winning the game and down the stretch. This is just horrific decision making from the top down. that threw away this game. It's pitiful. That was just pitiful to see. It's frustrating because the Pistons could have won this game. They should have won this game. They were playing really well tonight. They should have won this game. But the final 2 minutes of this game, it was just, it was horrific decision. Or the last minute and 15 of this game was just horrific decision after horrific decision after horrific decision from the top down. And you can't have that. You can't have that against a team like the Hawks, or you'll lose. And that's what they did tonight. So let me know what you guys think about that. How they closed this game, some of the decisions, some of the things that happened at the end of this game. Let me know what you guys think about that in the comment section down below or over on Twitter at Kuka Hill. When we come back, Cade Cunningham had a really nice bounce back game, by far his best game of the season. He had 22 points in the first half. We'll talk about what led to him having such a great first half and why he started to slow down a little bit in the second half. We'll talk about that when we come back. But first, I got to tell you guys about one of our sponsors, PrizePicks. So let me go ahead and just give you guys a quick example. Let's say tonight the Detroit Lions were playing and the Detroit Pistons were playing. And I wanted to take the over. I wanted to place an entry. And I want to take the over on Jared Goff's passing yards. I want to take the over on DeAndre Swift's rushing yards. And I also want to take the over on Cade Cunningham scoring or points per game. And I also want to take the over. Let's do a random one. Let's take the over on Isaiah Stewart 3-point made. You can do that at PrizePicks. You can do cross sports entries with PrizePicks, and that's what makes them my favorite sports betting to go to. How does it work? You pick 2 to 5 players, and if they score more or less than their PrizePicks projection is what you're taking the chance on, you can win up to 10 times your money on any single entry. No competing against other people. It's just you versus the projected numbers. PrizePicks offers projections on any sport that you watch, and this includes NBA, NFL, MLB, NHL, PGA, college football, men's college basketball, women's college basketball, soccer, WNBA, esports, NASCAR, tennis, MMA, boxing, disc golf, Euro basketball, cricket, and plenty other sports. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It's just that easy. Safe and fast withdrawals, currently operational in over 30 states and Canada. Download the PrizePicks app or go to prizepicks.com to sign up and play your daily fantasy sports today. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code Locked On. If you deposit $100, PrizePicks will give you $100. If you deposit $50, PrizePicks will give you $50. You understand? Don't forget to enter promo code Locked On to get that kind of deal, to sign up and get that instant deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks is daily fantasy made easy. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons, hit that subscribe button, or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you are listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. So the loss sucked and how they closed the game sucked. But this was a fun game, and Cade Cunningham played extremely well in this first half of this game. He had 22 points in the first half, and I think what really led to him playing so well in this first half, one, and something that we've kind of talked about a little bit with Jay and Ivy, is that Cade they need to figure out how to play together, him and Jay and Ivy. Because Cade right now is playing more off ball than he did last year when Jay and Ivy's on the floor, which obviously it's going to happen. And he's struggling to consistently hit his outside shot, which is what he's going to have to do for the majority of the time he's off ball. So that's why he's struggling with that. In this past game against the Atlanta Hawks, he monopolized the ball and he was in control of everything. You could immediately tell that he was at his most comfort in this game, operating everything. So I think this should sort of be like a little outlook to the future for Dwayne Casey, that he needs to probably stagger Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey and give them both their own time to monopolize the ball and really dominate the ball within their stretches. So I think you might be seeing that moving forward a little bit more once Ivey gets back from his sickness. I don't know how long he's going to be out. I don't know if he'll play next game or not, but non-COVID illness. He was just regularly sick. It's nothing too serious, but either way, Cade had the ball in his hands the entire first half. He felt or looked so much more comfortable. That's one. Two, you guys remember in the last podcast, I ranted for about 20 minutes talking about Stu needs to set better screens, and he actually needs to touch people on his screens. Now, was he perfect tonight in it? No. I think in the second half, he started lazy off. But in the first half, he was making contact consistently with his screens for Cade Cunningham. And Cade, instead of having the ISO against DeJounte Murray, who's one of the best, if not the best, perimeter guard or perimeter defensive guard in the entire NBA. Instead of having to go against him every single possession, he was getting picked off by Isaiah Stewart, and Cade was walking into open space, being able to figure out what he wants to do, and he was just a lot more, he was freed up more by Isaiah Stewart with the screens against the team with DeJounte Murray. So that helped him tremendously. Not only Isaiah Stewart, but Jalen Duren was doing it. I even saw Bojan set a few good screens for Cade. So I think that needs to be, seriously, a point of emphasis for the Detroit Pistons when they go to practice, when they look at film. The coaching staff needs to be forcing this. Like, you have to make contact. You have to make contact on your screens. You just have to. If you're not, you might as well not even be setting screens. There's no purpose of it. Unless they're hedging and you're slipping. But no team's hedging the Pistons right now. They're not doing that. So you need to make contact. Make contact with your screens, please. And they were doing that in the first half, and Cade was really playing well from it. The other thing that I think Cade was really doing well in this first half, and it's another thing that we've talked about in the podcast many, many times. He only had 1 3 in that first half. Everything he was getting was at the rim, at the rim, at the rim. He was using his strength over and over and over again. There was a few times he straight up just bullied people. DeAndre Hunter, DeJounte Murray, a center, straight up out the way and finished around the rim. He was getting to the rim, getting to his mid-range spot, balancing it all out instead of just relying so much on three-point attempts like the beginning of last year. Instead of taking so many threes, he was balancing his game out. He played like a 3-level scorer. He hit an opening 3. He was getting to the mid-range. He was getting to the basket consistently, and he was drawing some fouls. He got 4 free throws. So I thought that's really what translated to Cade playing really well in that first half, and that's Cade's key to success for his career. He's not going to be a guy that gets up 8, 9 threes a game and is shooting 40%, I don't think. I don't think that's what Cade's going to be. He's going to be a guy that can score from the mid-range. He can score from the post. He can score at the rim. He needs to draw free throws. And then he can also hit the pull-up 3. And that's what he was doing tonight. In that first half, he was balancing everything out and getting to his spots. He wasn't letting the defense dictate what he does. Remember on the last podcast, I said, or 2 podcasts ago, I told you guys that defenses were telling Cade what to do, and he was taking it. They were telling him, hey, take these pull-up long 2s. Take all these long 2s. Take all these pull-up 3s. And he was just taking it. He was falling into the trap. Tonight, he didn't do what the defense wanted him to do. He was forcing the defense to react to him. And that's what really set his game apart in this first half. Now, I think what really slowed him down in the second half was 2 things. One, he was at 30 minutes at the end of the third quarter. Now, getting to 37 minutes shouldn't tire him out like that if it's more balanced out throughout the game, I feel like. If he gets to 37 more balanced out, then I think he would have been fine. But playing 30 minutes through what? He played 30 of the first 36 minutes. So that he was damn tired. That's first. I think that's what really had a lot to do with it. And then second, once he came back in that for his final stint in the fourth quarter, there was no more hard screens being set. It wasn't even like they were trying to set him up. I forgot about this. They also were trying to get Cade some nice mismatches in the first half, which I really liked. We said that on the last podcast. We wanted to see Cade get some favorable matchups instead of just having to go against the best perimeter guy all the time. They did that in the first half. In that fourth quarter, it was not happening. Every single possession was against DeJounte Murray, and DeJounte Murray, like I said, is probably the best defensive guard in the entire NBA. He might be there. So I think that really contributed to his inefficient second half. But in totality, I think this was a really good game for Cade. 26, 8, and 6. He's had 11 of 25 from the field. You'd like him to be more efficient in this game. That's something he's going to continue to work on. He also had 7 turnovers within this game, and that's way, way too many. And that kind of is what happens when you end up monopolizing the ball as much as he was doing tonight. You want to see him limit the turnovers, but overall, I think we all liked what we saw from Cade tonight. Want to see it happen consistently throughout the whole game, but hopefully when Jaden Ivey returns, or maybe when Dwayne Casey, or if Killian Hayes can try to earn some damn trust with Dwayne Casey and start to perform better, and he played really well tonight. I thought Killian had by far his best game and best stretch of the game or of the season tonight. So hopefully he's coming along, because Cade needs someone else to take some of the pressure off him. And nights when Jaden Ivey is out or not feeling it, Killian needs to step up. And nights where Killian isn't having it, Jaden Ivey obviously needs to be there. There needs to be guys that can take some of this pressure off of Cade to where he's not having to monopolize it this damn much. But overall, I like the game that we got from Cade tonight. Wanted him to be a little bit more efficient in the second half, but it was just wearing him down throughout the game how much he had to do, and having him just go against ISO DeJounte Murray was really dumb to do in the fourth quarter. You really need to put emphasis on Stu consistently setting screens because it really fell off in the second half. He needs to consistently set hard screens and make contact, especially with great defenders, so Cade can actually make the big guy who's in drop or switching choose between him and the roller. If you don't do it, you're not making the big guy really move at all. So I loved what I saw from Cade, though. So hopefully this is a turn of the season for him. 5 games into the season, maybe Cade can take this and he rolls into the next game against the Atlanta Hawks on Friday and plays well again. So hope that's the case, and I hope Dwayne Casey staggers him and Jaden Ivey so they both get times to monopolize the ball. I think that's something that has to happen if you're going to have these two guys be your dynamic duo of the future. I don't think they're just as seamless as a fit as like Steph and Clay are. They need to be staggered to where they both have their own time. And I hope what Casey saw tonight shows him that he needs to do that a little bit more moving forward. When we come back, we'll talk about some of the other players, discuss some of their individual performances when we come back. But first, you guys got to hear from some of our lovely sponsors. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons, hit that subscribe button, or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you are listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. So we already talked about Bojan. Bojan is like the best player in the entire NBA, apparently. I didn't know this. I don't know if you knew this. I don't know. I don't know if anybody knew this, but Bojan's the greatest player in NBA history. I told y'all Bojan was good, but my God, I did not think he was going to be this damn good for the Pistons this early. He's been fantastic. And it's gotten to a point where I don't know what the hell the Pistons would look like and where they would be at if they did not make that trade for Bojan. If they didn't make that trade for Bojan, I have no clue what the hell would be this team would be looking like. Like, for real. He's been an absolute savior. The team shot 44% from deep tonight. Bojan took up 6 of those made attempts. 12 of the attempts taken. If you take away Bojan's 6 made threes, they only made 8. And if you take away 12 attempts, they only got 20 up. So not a bad percentage still. But Bojan's definitely making a big difference in why this team is hovering around middle of the pack shooting-wise. So Bojan's been absolutely fantastic, dude. Fantastic. I couldn't ask him to be any better. Isaiah Livers had a really nice game off the bench, played 24 minutes, 4 of 7 from the field, 4 of 6 from deep. He had 12 points, 3 assists, 2 rebounds, a block, and a steal. There's a conversation that I'm going to be having about Isaiah Livers with you guys around like the 30 game mark. I'm going to save it for there. But just know that Isaiah Livers, I think, should be closing some games for the Pistons. I think he is a really good fit with this team and what he brings. That not only does the bench unit need it, the starting unit needs it. Cade needs it. Ivy needs it. Killian needs it. Everybody needs Isaiah Livers on the floor because of how seamless of a fit he is and how just his understanding of the game of basketball. So I loved Isaiah Livers' play tonight. I thought he played extremely well, and he should have been. If it wasn't going to be Killian closing over Corey Joseph, Isaiah Livers should have been brought in way earlier for Corey Joseph. And I think the Pistons might be looking at this game as a win if they did that. Saddiq Bey, me and Saddiq are going. I don't know. Plus minus is a game-to-game plus minus is definitely a wonky stat. You don't want to read everything into it, but sometimes it really does match the eye test. And Saddiq had 17 points tonight, but he was a team worst minus 11 on the floor. And it matched the eye test. I don't understand why he continues to pass up open threes. The team will get him open threes and he just sidesteps or travels or steps out of bounds trying to do something else. Just take the open three. Stop sidestepping. Stop trying to be more than what is being asked of you. If you get an open three, a clean catch and shoot look, take the shot. Just take the shot. And I don't understand why that's such a struggle right now for him. Then you also have his defense, I actually think he had a nice defensive stance. I believe John Collins towards the end of the fourth quarter. I thought he played really well on that. He used all of his strength to stop John Collins. I thought that was nice, but overall wasn't great from there. The thing with Saddiq is that It's just something that he's been struggling for 3 years now. His decision making just isn't there. For example, like if you're going to have the ball in your hands, like how Sadiq has the ball in his hands, and how he wants the ball in his hands, you can't end the game with 0 assists. Like, I understand he wants to be a scorer, and I understand that's just who he is. He's more of a scorer than he's going to be anything else. That's just what he wants to be, and that's what he's going to be. But you can't have the ball in your hands like that and have 0 assists. You can't, because what that says is that you're forcing a lot of stuff. You're making some bad decisions, and you're not leveraging your scoring and the penetration you're getting into the lane to your advantage for your team. He's not doing that. So that's the thing with Sadiq, is that yes, so like if you just looked at the box score, you'd see 17 on 6 of 11 from the floor. And I do like the fact that he's getting to the free throw line. That was something we talked about a lot last year. He gets to the free throw line a lot lately, and he's realizing how to use his strength, how to use his body to create foul calls, and he's really good at selling foul calls too. So he's getting really good at that. But if you're not going to make the right decision consistently, and really that foul decision at the end of the game, really just if you want to see one play, you're like, "Cool, I don't really see what you're talking about. Why are you saying this about Sadiq? He has 17 points." If you just want one play to show you like that, this is an example of everything I'm talking about in one, let's go look at the final play I was talking about at the beginning of the podcast, where Bojan scored 10 straight points for the Pistons, and Sadiq took it upon himself to ISO from the corner. That's just something you have to be smarter there. You have to. It's not just there throughout the game. He has to make better decisions, but right there, you have to be smarter. You just have to be smarter than that, and he should be. He should be smarter than that. So he shot well from the floor, 6 of 11. Shot well from deep, 2 of 4. But he was a minus 11 on the floor, and I feel like that matched the eye test. He just needs to. I don't know if he's ever going to learn it, because it's been something he struggled with for 3 years. But he has to. He just simply has to make better decisions with the basketball. And if he did that, he would be such an infinitely better basketball player. If he simply just took the open threes when it was given to him, instead of taking sidestep or travel or step out of bounds, if he just simply shot the ball, so much better player. If when he drove to the rim and he was able to use his strength to get to the rim and he brings 2 defenders in, if he simply made the easy kick out to whoever's guy is sagging in, infinitely better basketball player. Sadiq would be worth a hell of he would just be a hell of a player if he was able to do those small things. But the small thing is what he's consistently struggled with. And that's why I'm going to be talking with Sadiq about Sadiq on the podcast for the rest of the season. I'm not going to come on here and talk about anything else with him, because that's the part, just like with Killian, I'm not going to congratulate Killian or talk highly of Killian until I see some improvement scoring-wise, shooting-wise, that kind of thing. Until I see that from Killian, it's the same thing with Sadiq. I need to see him become better with the ball in his hands, decision-making wise. And that's what I'm going to be talking about all year. I'm not going to be talking about whether he can score 20 points on decent efficiency. Like, that's what I'm going to be talking about with him. And I need him to show me that he can be better with that. So that's who I wanted to focus on in this final segment, because Sadiq has the makings of a really damn good player. But if he's not careful, he's going to find himself just simply being a 6-man kind of guy who comes in, doesn't look to pass, just comes in to score, and he plays that 6-man role, which that role's perfectly fine. If that's the role he ends up accepting and he's cool with that, that's perfectly fine too. That's a great career. But I know a lot of you guys out there think that he has star written on him, that he has all-star written on him. And if he wants to get to that part, he has to get better in these areas, and that's the areas I'm going to focus on. Just some quick takes to end the podcast. Jalen Duren is close to impressing me more than Jaden Ivey, and Jaden Ivey himself have impressed me insanely. Like, Jalen Duren has been way better than I thought he ever could be. I thought the NBA would be way too fast for him as the youngest player in the NBA. It just hasn't been. And he's made really good play after really good play after really good play. And if you want me to be honest, we may be looking at him as the starting center sooner rather than later. Not next week or 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now. But I think the majority of us thought it would be after this season. It might be this season that he eventually ends up in the starting lineup. So Jalen Duren's been fantastic. I saw on NBA.com, the rookie ladder, they had him 4th ahead of Jaden Ivey on the rookie ladder. He's been insanely impressive. He's going to need to get more and more minutes. I can't believe he's been ready like this so far this year as an 18-year-old, as the youngest player in the NBA. It's crazy. You don't see stuff like that. I need all of you guys to understand. You don't see stuff like that from youngest player in the NBA kind of stuff. Those guys usually look like deer in headlights. This is a rare exception, and the Pistons should be ecstatic that they have one of those rare exceptions. Outside of that, I thought Killian had his best game of the year. I'm really mad that Dwayne Casey didn't reward him with how well he was playing in the second half. If you play like trash, you should have your minutes reduced. But just like when you play like trash and you get your minutes reduced, that the coach needs to have that tough love with you. One of the biggest things the coach needs to do is also have positive reinforcement. So when you are playing well, they tell you you're playing well and they reward you for playing well. And for Killian to play as well as he did in the second half, to get yanked out for Corey Joseph and close with Corey Joseph against an all-star backcourt is kind of mind-boggling to me. But I thought Killian played well in the second half tonight, and hopefully once he saw that three go down, he played just more comfortable and he played way better after that. So hopefully he can turn this around. He finally got the monkey off his back of making a shot. Like, he finally got that off his back. Hopefully he can trend this into, having some good games and stacking these together. So, and then Isaiah Stewart, not much there. He went 0-4 from deep tonight. I ain't got much there for you. You just keep shooting, I guess. That's all I've got for you guys there. But that's all I've got for you guys on today's episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast. I want to thank you guys for making us your first listen of every single day. Hit that subscribe button at the YouTube channel. Leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you are listening to this on. And make sure you're making your second listen of every single day, Locked On Sports Today. From the games that matter the most to the biggest stories in sports, go beyond the scoreboard and behind the scenes with local experts and insights only Locked On can provide. Locked On Sports Today, available on this app, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcast. Until next time, guys. Oh, real quickly, I love the jerseys. I thought the jerseys looked fantastic on the court. Can't wait to see the teal on Friday. I'm really excited for that. I think I might go to that game. I don't know yet. Piston tickets, I feel like, are just too expensive for what they are right now. So I might go and spend the extra money, I feel like, but I'll let you guys know before then. But until the next podcast, I will see you guys later. Stay safe, everybody. Go Pistons, and peace out.